Happy Monday, everybody. My name's Matt from Midwest PPG. A couple weeks ago, Hans from Sweden asked if I would do a video on how to select the appropriate size of wing for a beginner. So the goal of this video is to show you an easy way to think about wing sizing and how to pick the right size wing if you're a beginner or intermediate pilot. Before I get into picking the right size wing, let me just give you an idea to think about. When you're flying, when your wing's in flight, it has a certain tension to it, and that tension is related to how much load the wing is carrying. If you think about the lines on your glider like a guitar string, if I'm flying with a certain weight, and maybe it's a light weight, and I pluck the strings like a guitar string, it would give me a low note, or the lines would not be very tight. As I increase the load under the wing, those lines would become more and more tight, and if it were a guitar string, the pitch would get higher. So that's the idea I want to get into your head before we talk about this idea of tension that the wing has. There's a tension that's required in the wing for it to be stable in flight, like a minimum tension that we've got to achieve. If we're below that, the wing will be susceptible to less and less turbulence. So if I'm flying a normal sized paraglider with only 25 pounds under it, little teeny tiny disturbances in the air might cause the wing to flap around. On the other side of that, as I put more and more weight under the wing, it becomes too loaded. And first of all, everything happens faster. The wing will malfunction faster. Takeoff and landings will be faster. It will have a faster just intrinsic flight speed. And precision becomes very, very small, or what's another way to say that? The wing becomes, it responds to smaller and smaller changes. So for example, if I'm flying my wing along and I've got a light loading on it and I pull 6 inches of brake, I might execute a 30-degree bank turn. If I go way on the other side of that scale and put a really heavy load under my wing, 3 inches of brake pressure might put me into 90-degree rolling turn. So as wing loading increases, the responsiveness and agility of the wing increases. For beginner and intermediate pilots, we want to find a safe, reliable zone to be in. We don't want to be so lightly loaded on a wing that it's susceptible to small little burbles of turbulence, but we also don't want to be on a wing where we're loading it so heavily that there's no margin for error. I have to make precise inputs at just the right time. And so we're looking for the sweet spot for beginner wings. So keep that idea of tension in mind. For beginner pilots and intermediate pilots, this doesn't work so well for advanced wings, but I assume if you're at that point, you don't need somebody to tell you how to pick a wing size. For beginner and intermediate wings, we just know from experience that the gliders like to be flown at this tension or this wing loading of between 4 and 5 kilograms of weight of cargo for every single meter of wing that you have. Or if you want to do it in pounds, it's 9 to 11 pounds per square meter of wing. Why is that? We just know that if you load the wing lower than 4 kilograms per meter of fabric, we get into this area where it's just it doesn't have enough tension, and it doesn't have the ability to resist turbulence very well, and the controls are mushy and unresponsive. Beyond 5, we get to the point where it's too responsive for a newer pilot. There's no margin for error, and little teeny tiny inputs on the glider make big changes to the glider's flight profile. It's how dynamic it is. So 4 and 5 kilograms per square meter of fabric is what we're looking for. That's your zone. To figure out the right wing size, we kind of have to back into that. So I went through and added all my weight up. I'm about 200 pounds, paramotor 50 pounds, reserve fuel, all of those different things, throw them all together, and my flight weight, my all-up weight, is 120 kilograms. If I divide my all-up weight by both of those two numbers, 4 and 5, it's going to give me a band of wings that are good for me to start thinking about. If you've been shopping for wings already, you're going to immediately know that that gives me 4 or 5 different options, maybe at least 3 different options. So how do I zero in on the perfect one for me? The second thing we know just from a lot of experience is this sweet spot on wings, 4.6 kilograms per square meter of fabric. Why? We just know it from experience and flying a lot of different wings. As your skill increases, you're going to try out different wings, and you'll notice if you're on the light side of this, the wing will feel slightly mushy and underwhelming. And if you're on the heavier side of it, your launch speed will increase, landing speed will increase, maybe uncomfortably if it's too heavily loaded, and the response will become very sharp and dynamic. So if I use this, I use my 4.6 kilograms per square meter of fabric. I'm simply going to divide my all-up weight by 4.6, and it's going to give me 26. So this little formula is telling me that as a 120 kilogram pilot all up, the appropriate wing size for me to be on in the sweet spot is a 26 meter wing. Let's just take a look at 2 manufacturers and see if this is giving me a number that is in sync with what the manufacturers are showing. So I'm going to pull up the Ozone website here. I'm looking at the Roadster 3. My range is 24 to 30, and I have 4 different wings in that weight range. So I'm going to get rid of this stuff. I know that I'm looking at the 26 really. Okay, let me make a little list of charts here, and we're going to plug in some numbers on all these different wing sizes, and we should see that 26 is where I'm at. Okay, what I've done here is I've taken all of the wing sizes that were in my band between 4 and 5 kilograms per square meter of fabric and mapped them out. On my map, I have the manufacturer's suggested wing loading, top and bottom, 65 for the 24 meter wing. The suggested weight range is 65 to 120. And for each of those wings, I also calculated the midpoint, because remember, I want to be just heavy of center. I'm a 120 kilogram pilot. Let me plot myself on each of these, and we should see that 26 is the wing that's right for me, which jives with the calculation we did before. Hopefully you can see that. Let me maybe highlight it a little bit. Okay, I hope you can see that. You can see that as the wing size increases, my load on it decreases, or the ratio between wing size and wing load decreases. And again, just heavy of center is where I want to be. For you to calculate this, you need to know your all-up weight. You need to divide that weight by 4 and 5 kilograms per square meter of fabric. That'll give you a range. And then really what your target's going to be is 4.6 kilograms per square meter of fabric. And as you look at a particular manufacturer and make a little map of all the wings that fall within your range, you should have a confirmation that that 4.6 number puts you just heavy of the center line for whatever size wing is correct for you. Obvious questions pop up. If I've already got a wing and I'm not inside this just heavy of center sweet spot, am I still okay? Yeah, you're fine. As long as you're in the weight range for your wing, you're not going to run into any problems. It's more subjective. If you're on the light side of the glider, it's going to feel underwhelming and mushy and just doesn't respond nicely, sharply. And if you're on the heavy side, launching and landing may be a little fast for you. The responsiveness will be dialed up a little bit, but you're still in a safe range. So to sum up, step number 1, calculate your all-up weight. If you already have your wing, include it. If you don't, you can omit it. It's not going to change your numbers really, but be honest with yourself. Your body weight, clothes, motor, fuel, emergency equipment. If you carry a TV dinner and all kinds of junk up with you when you fly, add it all in there. Make sure you're accounting for all your weight, your normal weight. Divide that number by 4 and 5. That will give you a band of wings that are appropriate for you to fly. And then furthermore, divide that number by 4.6. That'll give you a sweet spot wing. And then you can go to your manufacturer pages and look and make sure that the number that you came up with If you plot your weight on their weight ranges, you should see confirmation that you've selected the right wing. I hope that is clear and helps you guys out a little bit. If it doesn't, if it's unclear, please shoot me an email, let me know. And like always, if you have any ideas, anything you'd like to hear about, I'm all ears. Let me know. Thank you, and see you guys next week.